Alright, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about the X-Men, the original 90s X-Men. We're in the season 2, episode 2, entitled Till Death Do Us Part 2. So at the end of episode 1, the X-Men, after being on the high of everything that happened at the end of season 1, are turned against each other by one of their own, Morph, who is under control of Mr. Sinister. And in this episode, we see the ramifications of what happened in episode 1 after everything had happened. Storm's in hospital. Professor X has been called away on a mission to meet Magneto. Unbeknownst to him, that it was Morph posing as Magneto. Morph's powers are he can imitate anybody. He can change his form to look like whoever he wants to look like, and sound like anybody. Essentially, Mystique, really. So at the beginning of this episode, we see Beast is caught in the danger room. He manages to escape. Wolverine rescues Rogue from a group of anti-mutant protesters. Gambit is still unconscious after the fake Rogue managed to get him to go kiss the real Rogue, of course taking the powers from him, knocking him out. And yes, Jean Grey and Cyclops haven't been married. Well, when I say married, I use that term loosely. That was also not the minister that was going to marry them. That was indeed good old Morph, pretending to be him as well. So they're off to an island to start their honeymoon at the beginning of this episode, and they're captured by a group of mutants that are working for Mr. Sinister, known as the Nasty Boys. And I've just looked up their names here because you don't really get a clear who's who of all the characters in this episode. There's Ruckus as one of them, Mr. Gorgeous George as another one, Slab and the Hairbag. So we do get a fight near the end of the episode that has a good bit of humour in there whenever Wolverine gets in there with a smart mouth and goes against these guys. So yeah, they're heading towards, Jean Grey and Cyclops are heading towards this island for their honeymoon. They're captured by these mutants, and they're collared so they can't use their own powers. And essentially what Mr. Sinister wants from Cyclops and Jean Grey is to use their genetic profiles to create the perfect mutant soldier and mutant army. The future of the mutants, he believes, is down to these two, so he wants to take their offspring and use that as the blueprint of what's going to come, essentially. So the biggest bulk of this episode is the X-Men trying to work out what happened. They do eventually get back to the mansion. The only ones missing are, of course, Cyclops and Jean Grey. They're off on their wedding, or their honeymoon. Professor X is off to meet Magneto, and Storm is still in the hospital. So there's the back and forth of them accusing each other of what happened in the prior episode. You know, Rogue is going at Gambit for, that's what happens whenever you try to steal a kiss. And Gambit's like, I don't go anywhere I'm not invited, Sherry, or share. So yes, eventually Professor X turns up in the mansion and tries to give them this mad story about they're under mind control for some new device. But Wolverine's sense of smell gives it away. It is Morph. And the X-Men kind of turn on Wolverine for a bit whenever he tries to yank Morph out of the chair. Morph pretending to be Professor X. Of course, Professor X can't walk, so the X-Men aren't overly impressed that Wolverine's going to yank a disabled man out of a wheelchair. But yes, he does get the upper hand in Morph whenever Gambit senses, you know, it's Professor X at one point says uh, Wolverine is out of control, destroy him, sort of a thing. And Gambit's like, the professor would never say something like that, so he charges up one of his playing cards to throw at him. And of course, Professor X jumps out of the chair to get out of the way, of course, revealing that he's no longer paralyzed from the waist down. Morph has to show who he is at this point. So, yes, they try to set off to work out what's going on after Morph escapes, and he heads back to this island where Cyclops and Jean Grey are being held. He's got one foot on either side of the chasm of, I'm a member of the X-Men, but I was also, you know, left for dead by Cyclops. So he wants his revenge on Cyclops and heads to the island to get that. The X-Men eventually manage to follow him to the island, and Mr. Sinister's playing the Morph off on the whole thing of these guys left you to die sort of a thing. The X-Men, as I say, eventually show up at the end of the episode for the final fight against Sinister and as a group of mad mutants. And yes, the fight is good in this episode. There's a good few one-liners from Wolverine throughout the fight. And Morph, towards the end of the episode, is convinced by Cyclops, and you're still an X-Man, you're still part of the team, help us. Morph, of course, turns on Sinister then, and Sinister does give a little bit of the backstory of what happened to Morph at the end of, if memory serves, it was the first episode of season 1, whenever the Sentinels left him for dead. It might have been episode 2, I'm not sure it was the end of episode 1, but he reveals that he found him, his broken body, brought him back, give him new life and whatnot. And, Morph has this thing now where he's like a split personality, more or less. But he does, at the end of the episode, he comes back to the X-Men's side, fights against Sinister with them. Eventually, Sinister is driven off by Cyclops. Cyclops manages to escape. For some reason, it's not explained in this episode, but a lot of the shots that Sinister takes, you can see his body getting damaged, and it kind of heals over straight away. But whenever Cyclops shoots him, the damage seems to be permanent. Well, more so than anybody else's attack. At the end of the episode, Sinister and his gang of mutants retreat. The X-Men are victorious. Morph once again disappears. I think it was Beast that said, Morph has got a lot to work through right now, and we just have to give him his time and whatnot. At the end of the episode, Cyclops is absolutely raging that everything that's gone down, what's happened, the way he looks at it now, like, technically, me and Jean Grey are not married, and this is a step too far in his book, and he's not happy at all at the end of the episode, and he wants to get to the bottom of this and make Sinister pay for what he's done. We get a little close out in the episode where we see the real Professor X meeting up with the real Magneto, and again you've got the thing of, why did you call me here? I didn't call you here, you called me here. And at the end of the episode, they end up in an avalanche, a trap set for them, essentially, at the end of the episode. Great episode 2 to the X-Men. This is the point of the series where I can't recall anything after this. I have spoiled it for myself by watching the whole of X-Men 97. Originally I was just going to go through this and let it get into 97, so a lot of this run through of the original X-Men is going to be me picking up all the pieces that lead to X-Men 97. a show that I did love as a kid. I have to say, whenever this series came out, I was, I think, early high school whenever this came out. Season one of the X-Men was definitely something that was really imprinted in the back of my mind, but for some reason, everything after season one, it's a complete blank. I don't know if I've seen it or not right now in this watch through. It feels brand new to me, so I'm enjoying every second of it. So we're going to get as many of these done as we can. I do say that in every upload I put up, and then I disappear for about 6 months. That's not going to happen this time. I've got a lot of free time on my hands these days to get this sort of stuff done, so I'm going to be in debt to the eyeballs moving forward. Right, that's going to do it. I'll talk to you in the next video.